This is a sailing vessel Artha, a 1978 Bristol Channel cutter. This timeless, rugged classic is built for crossing oceans and turning heads and anchorages. She's 28 feet on deck, cutter-rigged, long-keeled, and tough as nails. Designed by Lyle Hess, the legend behind some of the most seaworthy small boats ever built. Artha is 10 feet wide, draws about 4 feet 10 inches, has a transom-hung rudder for serious blue water tracking. Above the waterline, she carries a traditional cutter rig, with a long bowsprit more than 6 feet out from the front and a boomkin aft out the back, making her overall length just over 37 feet from tip to tail. She's anchored securely with a 45-pound Mantis anchor, backed by 120 feet of 3/8 high-test chain and another 175 feet of half-inch nylon rode. Solo sailing this capable classic boat and firmly at the tiller is Nicole, a fearless and resourceful sailor. Nicole's been living aboard Artha full-time, rebuilding, maintaining, and mastering every system herself. She's bought the boat as a disastrous fixer-upper at a dirty, swampy boatyard in Luperon, Dominican Republic, where for a year and a half she completely transformed it on her own, refitting the rigging, gouging out every blister, rebuilding the rudder and bowsprit, copper-coating her mast and hull, overhauling the interior, and upgrading the systems to suit her self-reliant, can-do attitude. Artha may be small by modern cruising standards, but don't let the size fool you. This boat is a serious ocean voyager, with many others having crossed oceans or the entire world, and many more that will continue to in the future. Easily able to weather all storms and carve a life of freedom and adventure for their skippers. Nicole supports her minimalist sailing lifestyle by producing honest and wholesome content for YouTube and a dedicated Patreon base, giving others a taste of what it's really like to be a solo sailing woman on the toughest budget imaginable. And this boat, it's a reflection of her grit, craftsmanship, and love of the sea. Now let's step aboard Artha and take a deep look inside the life of a solo sailor and the boat that carries her. Hello, hello! Permission to come aboard?
Yes, of course.
And that noise you can hear in that water coming out there is from her water maker, which is making about 2 gallons an hour of pure drinking water.
Well, come on up.
Well, thank you for having me aboard. Well, this is a super cool sailboat, and like I said in the intro, it's a super capable ocean sailing sailboat. So Nicole here, the captain, the skipper, why don't you take us to the front and we'll start working our way from the bow to the stern, and then we'll work our way down inside. All the way up here, I think one of the first things people notice is that like 6-foot long bowsprit you've got going out there.
Yes.
And then what kind of a sail do you have right here?
This is a Yankee cut jib. It's on a Harkin Ocean furler.
And why is it a Yankee cut? What does that mean?
It makes it easier for the boat to tack through the wind when there's a stay right here.
I gotcha. So instead of this sail being like down like a skirt down here, it would get caught on this here. Instead, it's cut up and high, and so it goes across this more. So what is this right here then?
This is the staysail.
Okay. And so this goes just right up inside here and then sails in between. And what does the staysail help do? Do you get more power that way?
Yeah, it gives you options for if you wanted to cross an ocean, if the weather were to turn, you could always drop your jib and the staysail stays.
That's super cool. Tell me a little bit about your ground tackle here. That looks like some big chain.
Oh yeah, so this is a 3/8 triple B chain. It's 120 feet and attaches to a Mantis anchor, 45 pounds, and it also has about 175 feet of 3-strand half-inch rod.
Wow, that is serious. How do you manage to pull this anchor up by yourself? Because you don't have any electrical windlass to this, do you?
No, with this manual windlass.
And where's your little lift bar there?
My lift bar is right here.
Now, do you also double the use on this for in case you have intruders?
Yes, it goes.
So show me how this works.
So yeah, there's this little lever right here. You just flip up and then you just put this in and then you crank. And it goes into the anchor locker.
Wow. Now, is that pretty difficult for you to get up, or with that mechanical advantage to make it pretty easy?
No, it's pretty easy. I do wish I had a second bow roller on the bowsprit because then it would make the angle a lot easier for the actual anchor to come up, but it's manageable.
I think a question a lot of people want to know is, do you ever walk all the way out on your bowsprit while you're sailing?
I do, actually. So I've clipped in twice. One time the tack, which is the bottom part of the sail, had come up off of the furler because the shackle came out. So I clipped in and I climbed all the way out while I was sailing and reattached it.
Wow.
And then one time there were dolphins up here, so I clipped in and I just hung on the bowsprit and played with the dolphins.
That's so cool. Can you show me right now what it's like?
Oh, so climb out?
Yeah.
It's a super fun spot.
That is super cool. I think that something like this really gives a boat a classic look.
Yeah.
Wow. You can imagine how good this would feel sailing out on the open seas with just the ocean beneath you. It's really, really cool. This boat definitely suits your personality, Nicole.
Yeah.
So let's keep moving our way back. How much time do you spend right here on your foredeck? Is this enough space to do anything?
Oh yeah, I like to sit here when I'm sailing because I don't have a lot of shade in the cockpit, but I do from the sails. So I'll sit right here, and I've written before, like I'll write, or I'll just hang out here with the gudgeon. That's my first mate, the Rudy dog. Cash Rudy.
How is life on the boat with the dog?
I love it. He encourages me to walk every morning and every evening, which gets me off the boat. He's super easy. He cuddles up with me. He will go to the bathroom on the boat if he absolutely needs to. Yeah, he's just good company.
So what is that you're sitting on right there?
This is a big hatch, and it opens up this way, which I think is mainly designed like that for ocean sailing. But yeah.
So that way the boat doesn't scoop in water if you mess it up, or naturally if you hit a wave, it's going to push it down more.
Yeah, and it also creates more space in the V-berth because it kind of pops up a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We can see your toilet down there.
Yeah.
And then, now do you ever sleep in your V-berth?
I did when I first got the boat, when I had a cushion, but I prefer to sleep in the pilot berth.
We'll have to check that out in a minute. It's pretty cool. And what kind of toilet is that you have down there?
That's an airhead composting toilet.
Oh, wow, it's composting. That's cool. How often do you have to empty that out?
I empty the solids, I think, twice a year, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 3 times a year, and then the liquids once every 3 days or so.
That's not very much at all. Now, I noticed that it just has this little bug screen here in the back. Does water ever come in here?
I've never gotten water in through that way.
All right, so moving back a little bit, we've got your mast here. Now, I see you've got a few winches, you've got some cleats. Can you explain to me some of these lines you've got running in these halyards here?
Yeah, this is a jib halyard, this is the staysail halyard, and this is the spare halyard, and this is the main halyard.
So I'll slow that down a little bit for some of our viewers. This green line here is going to go to her main sail, all the way back here. Now, do you have to come forward to lift all your sails?
No.
Well, you can do it all from the cockpit. That's excellent. That way she's not exposed up here if it's a stormy day. So this one stays up all the time because this goes here to the main jib, which these lines are attached to. These would be the sheets to it. And it looks like you've taken a little bit of damage on your jib there.
I have.
What happened there?
I went through some rough weather and I was too slow to furl my jib.
Oh, I gotcha.
I tore it, but I was able to patch it in the Bahamas.
Well, it looks a little more piratey now.
Yes, it does.
That's pretty cool. So anyway, so this one's pretty much always up then because this sail here can wrap around the forestay. We call that a furling jib. And it's super convenient and it just makes life a lot easier. We kind of wish that all of our sails could do that. However, this is the staysail, and this would go right here, and we can see this will go right up. The upside of this is it's probably super easy to lift this thing up because it has a hank-on sail, I believe.
Yeah.
Let's take a look what a hank-on sail looks like because it's very different than some of the other ones. Yeah, so it's just these little clips here like that, and so these slide up this inner forestay really easily. And I guess that would be one other benefit to this, is this inner forestay gives you even more stability on the mast. Okay, and then what do you got going on right here? You trying to do some pirate stuff?
Oh yeah, these are the rat lines, so you can easily climb up to the first spreader and fix anything that you need to fix on stuff.
Wow, and I see you've also got some really bright lights up there too.
Oh yeah, my spreader lights, I put those in, they're awesome.
Yeah, it makes it look like it's daylight out here. That's
Yeah.
super cool. All right, and then back here to the mainsail as well. Would you say you get most of the power from your jib, your mainsail, or your staysail?
Oh, probably my main.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is a super long boom. This boom is longer than mine on my sailboat over there. And I think this boom,
15 foot.
wow, that is super long. And did you make the stack pack yourself?
I did.
That's pretty cool. Is that also one of the ways you've been able to fund your sailing addiction? I mean, lifestyle?
Yes. Before I started my YouTube and Patreon, I sewed professionally for charter companies in Fort Pierce and Key West.
Oh, super cool.
I called myself the sailing seamstress.
So what do you prefer doing for work? Sewing or making content for YouTube?
I like making content for YouTube because I can share my story. So I can share what I'm sewing and how I'm feeling and how sailing is and all that stuff.
Anyway, so here we can see the slides that go onto this one. And you see how different they are than the hank-on ones up there and then the furling sail that's up there. All 3 different methods. So I notice here you've got a couple of staysail sheet blocks. Those are some pretty old school looking blocks. Do they work well compared to modern ones?
Yeah, I have both on the boat. I've never had a problem. Those ones are actually, they seem to be better in some ways because they're like more durable, I guess. I don't know.
You've got some air scoops to keep down below nice and well ventilated. And then you've also got, what is this here? Is it like a little roof?
It's a butterfly hatch, but the hinges aren't there anymore. But most butterfly hatches, you can hinge either side up like a butterfly wing.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It looks like it scoops in air as well as lets some light in for you.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
And then what do we have right here? How much solar is this?
This, well, total, there's 600 watts of solar. I have 200 on the cabin, 200 that I can move, like angled with the sun right here, and then 200 on the boom boards.
Wow. So with 600 watts of solar, is that enough to power everything on your boat?
Yeah, I have an electric galley and a water maker and Starlink and a fridge.
And let's take a look at what you're standing on here. It looks like your cockpit's been redone.
Yeah.
So you made like a whole bed, but normally if you pull one of these up, you could go below it, right?
Yeah. So there's the boards.
So normally you would sit on this like a bench.
Yeah.
And then you'd have this space here, so you kind of sit in a little bit more.
Pull the boards up, and then underneath it's a little messy. There's a washing machine and a pump down here.
Oh, you have a washing machine?
Yeah, it's a little spinner one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And
All
then
right.
the motors, the keys right here, which I could turn it on if you wanted.
No, I won't make you. But how much horsepower do you have to motor this?
27 horsepower.
And do you find that's enough to get you from A to B and power through storms and inlets?
I'd say so. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, most of the time that I have it on, my alternator is pumping in a little bit of power, but I have a limiting current switch, so I can cut the current in half if I need to.
Okay, to get a little more power from your engine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, super cool. And then what's this right behind your head here? This beautiful piece of wood.
Yeah, this is the boom cradle. Normally I sling the boom out to the side so the solar panels can get
No, you're good.
Yeah. This is the boom cradle, so normally I sling the boom out to the side so the solar panels get full sun. But when I'm not doing that, the boom will just rest in either of these little slots.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess if you weren't on the boat, you'd have it right here, but then it kind of would get in the way and you'd bump your head coming up.
Yeah, because there's really no there is a topping lift, but the boom primarily just rests on the cradle rather than like most you've got a topping lift that holds it up.
Now, one thing I just noticed is you don't have a helm or a tiller. Like, how do you steer this boat?
Oh, yeah. I just, think about it and it just happens.
Oh, really? That sounds like that'd work for you. Wow, can you hold that thing up?
Yeah.
How much does that weigh?
Maybe like 15 pounds.
That's pretty cool.
I think it weighs more than my dog. Actually, yeah, I think it weighs more than my dog. My dog weighs 10 pounds.
Okay, so why do you take it out and how does that work?
Well, it slides in right here. And then this pin right here is where the autopilot attaches, and right here. And I put this cleat on here if I want to do sheet to tiller, and I keep that block right here.
What is sheet to tiller?
Sheet to tiller is when you take a jib sheet or say shelf sheet, whatever sail you're using, and you run it, the sheet that has a tension on it.
Yeah.
And run it. So if the sail were out on this side, then you would take that sheet and you would run it. You would bypass the winch. You would run it through the block and cleat it here. And then on the windward side, you would have a bungee that would counteract that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And why do you do that? What's the point of that?
It's just a self-steering.
That's pretty cool. So you can actually steer by the wind?
You can.
That's super cool. And something else I noticed on deck here is you've got all this water jugs and then fuel as well. How much fuel and how much water do you carry?
So I can carry, I think, 70 gallons total with the 20 gallons on deck. So there's 50 in the boat.
50 in the boat, 20 on deck, so 70 gallons of water. And then
the diesel tank holds about 30, and then that's 40, and then gas could also make it 50 or 10 gallons of gas.
So with the fuel you have on deck here and then down below in your main tank, how much fuel do you have total?
About 40 gallons.
And how far do you think you can go on 40 gallons of diesel?
Probably approximately 400 nautical miles.
400 nautical miles. That would get you home.
Not quite. I'm actually like 600 nautical miles away, but...
Oh, okay. All right, so you'll need to sail at least a little bit of it.
A little bit.
Well, it's good to have that much diesel just in case. It's good to have backups when the wind isn't blowing or it's not in your favor. And the last thing I noticed out here is this. What is this little dinghy?
Yeah, I used to have a sailing dinghy built by Emily from the retired Emily and Clark's Adventures, but I lost it in a storm. It was pretty strong winds that got yanked off my boat. So if anybody sees it or finds it, please let me know.
They might be in Cuba for that, though.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, I didn't have a dinghy, so I was using my paddleboard. My mom flew out to sail with me from Nassau to the Berries or to Freeport, and she brought this dinghy, and so just safer to have a dinghy. And my dad's flying in, and we're going to sail up to Oriental, North Carolina together, and it would be safer to have a dinghy, of course. And then
that's pretty cool. So you're getting ready to sail all the way to North Carolina. How far of a sail is that going to be, and how long is that going to take you?
It's about 600 nautical miles, and it will hopefully take me 3 days.
3 days would be pretty quick. We can only hope the weather's that good.
Yeah, it could be more like 5.
There's not many young solo sailing women out there. What has it been like for you? Has there been a lot of difficulties? What have you had to overcome to be able to live out here so free like this?
A lot. Almost too much to answer in such a short video like that. But I guess in in summary, I've been sailing my whole life, so the sailing part wasn't that much of a challenge for me. The biggest challenge was doing a huge refit on my boat and having the confidence in myself throughout all of those projects, and then in the boat that I could just refit when I'd never really sailed it before. And so I didn't know what was going to break, what was going to fail, if I was going to be stranded or not. And so the stresses of that, along with just the stresses of sailing in general, was pretty a lot. But I got through it. I had a lot of fun. I went on an awesome challenge and learned a lot of new things, like how to spearfish better. And I loved sailing so much, which was one reason why I wanted to sail. But now that I've been out here doing what I love, I realized I like to do other things too. So I've started teaching yoga, and I also started writing a lot more. I used to write a lot before sailing, and used to teach yoga a lot before sailing too. But yeah, those are some things I like to do.
Super cool. All right, well, I'll stop asking you questions for a minute. Why don't you show us down below into where you actually live? Oh, wow. Now, Nicole is, I think, exactly 5 foot, and I think I'm exactly 6. So we have a little bit of differences when it comes to living here. My head almost hits the ceiling. Nicole, how about you? Is this like enough living space?
Oh yeah, I could even do a handstand in here.
You can do a handstand?
I can. Yes.
Wow. All right. Well, you're wearing a dress, so we won't let you do that just now. We're gonna keep this wholesome. But yeah, this is your home. Where would you like to start by showing us?
I guess.
Go clockwise around.
Back here. Okay. Do you want me to show you the motor or no?
Oh yeah, that'd be super cool.
Okay. So the motor is in here. You just have to pull everything out like most boats. Here's the motor. It's kind of dusty because of the alternator belt. It should be a serpentine for this size alternator, but I've got just the regular V belt on there.
I gotcha. And this, so you said this was a 27 horsepower?
Yep, 3GM 30F Yanmar.
Oh, cool. And has this been a reliable motor for you?
Yeah, the only problem I've had is with the water pump, and it just needs a new shaft.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure once you're back in the U.S., that'll be pretty easy. Yeah. Wow, it goes pretty far back in there. So what is all this back there? Yeah,
so my little underwater maker is right there, and then I've got my 2 batteries there. One is a start and one is a backup for my lithium system. And then I've got my 3,000 watt inverter, and then my 6 solar charge controllers.
Oh, you got 6 solar charge controllers?
Yeah.
That's cool. Talk about redundancy.
Well, it makes it more efficient. And then I've got my battery charger back there.
Wow, you managed to squeeze quite a bit in there.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a difficult space for you to work on back in there?
Kind of, yeah. It's uncomfortable.
It definitely would be difficult for anybody else, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for showing us the engine compartment. Now let's check out what else we got here. So this is your main 12 volt and 120 volt panel?
Oh, yeah, and I can pop it open because the electrical work is really nice, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes. Let me just move my things.
We've got your Victron Energy output right here, 13.4 volts. Not bad.
Yeah. And this is the electrical.
That's a nice rat's nest.
It used to look less nesty, but...
Oh, no, I mean that in a good way. That looks really, really nice. Yeah. So can you explain to the viewers a little bit what's going on here? So you've basically got each one of these is connected, so that way they're on a little breaker in case they overdraw. Rather than starting a fire or something like that, they'll just break, and then you're safe. Yeah. All right, cool. So what do we have over here?
This is just drawers and stuff. Like I keep my silverware and tea in there, and then lids and stuff, and then provisions back in there, baggies back in here. I keep more provisions in this compartment. Oops, there's water in there, like chocolate chips and things.
Those are the important provisions.
Pasta, flour, yeah, and then more provisions back here, like olive oil and. And then that's where I keep my bowls and plates and stuff.
Wow, so you fully live in here?
Yeah, it's my home.
Is there anything you feel like that this boat as your home can't do that a regular house can do?
Not really. I mean, it's set up to where I can do everything I need to do that I would want to do in a house or need to do in a house. So
sure, I guess. So you've got cooking here, looks like?
Ideally on a sailboat, it would be gimbaled. I just didn't get to the gimbal portion yet, but the gimbal is actually still here. I just didn't cut the cutting boards out. But this is an electric galley, so the inverter is already on, so I can just turn this on and then start cooking like that. And there's no fuel or anything involved, like no gas. And I can actually cook while I'm running my water maker. And this, I've already cooked in it, but it has a griddle and then a little like...
Oh, wow.
Thing. Yeah, and then...
Oh, that's super cool.
Underneath here is where I have my air fryer oven. So I make really good brownies and
you make
pumpkin
really
bread.
Good rotisserie chicken in
there.
there.
And chicken and pretty much anything in here I can cook. So, and that's awesome. I can run all of my batteries, and then I have my hot water kettle right here.
Okay, get it now. So you've really figured out a way between these three things to cook whatever you need.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then I've got my Engel fridge freezer back here and my Sailboat sewing machine right here.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and all that's kind of messy. Like this is my harness and life jacket and dog food and shoes.
Well, no old boat can be completely organized.
Yeah,
That's definitely how it goes. Cool. And so then you've got your sink right here. How does this work?
Oh yeah, there's just a foot pump right here. And you just pump like that. I actually ran out of water today, so I had to make more.
Oh.
But then I have my sprouts right here.
Oh, can you open up and show us the sprouts?
Yeah.
You make really good sprouts.
Thank you. So
look at that. What kind of sprouts are these?
These are alfalfa sprouts.
Alfalfa sprouts. Wow.
They are ready to be harvested today.
Yeah, looks like it. Whew.
But they are really tasty in mac and cheese and on salads and whatever you want.
And super healthy too. That's really cool. Now you said that you have to make water. Can you show us real quick what you have to do to make water?
Yeah, so there's a little knob right here. It's hard to see, but I just turn it so that way the water is going overboard. And then I flip my boost pump on and then my water maker on. And then you can see the voltage drop just a little bit. Not very much, actually.
Okay.
And then, yeah, now I'm making water.
So to help clarify what's going on there, when Nicole said the boost pump, that is a small pump that takes ocean water and feeds it to the high pressure pump, because that thing's not very good at pulling water in.
Yeah.
It's just really good at pressurizing what's there and then pushing it out. And so it pressurizes the water and puts it through a tube, a membrane, that effectively separates super salty water from fresh water, from the seawater. And then the super salty brine water goes out to the ocean, and then the fresh water goes here into your tanks, where you enjoy it and you can cook with it, you can clean with it, you can drink it, you can shower with it, everything. All right, well, let's move around a little bit here, and why don't you show us a bit more of the living area?
Okay, yeah, so I took the table out because I wanted space to do yoga. So this table is just like scrap wood from the boat, but it can just fold up like this.
Oh, wow, that really opens up the boat.
And get out of the way. Yeah, so then now I have all this space to do yoga right here or work out or whatever I want to do. And then this is where my mom slept when she visited me. It's one pilot berth. And then this is where I normally sleep. And there's storage in each of these two things and a nice fan that blows.
Can you hop into one or the other of these and show us, hop into your normal bed?
I'll hop into my normal bed.
That looks pretty cozy. Can a bigger person fit in there?
Yes, for sure. It's super cozy.
Oh wow, it seems like you love it.
I love it. Yes, it's so comfy. I don't want to get up now.
Well, you got to show us more of your boat.
Okay.
And it looks like you've got a little bit of sort of like a panel here. Now, what's this for?
This just keeps you in the boat if there are big waves. But ideally, in a boat like this, when you've got one on either side, you just sleep on the low side.
Okay, so this whole boat is going to tip like this when you're sailing. And if we were tipped like this, then you'd be super comfy, pressed against the wall.
Exactly.
And then if you tip the other way while sailing, we call it getting heeled over, you would sleep in this one.
Pretty much.
Super cool. All right, so what else do we have going on in here? It's like you have a little bit of artwork in here, trying to keep the place homey.
This came with the boat. I made this in Lubron. This came from the Ragged Islands. This is what my friend Emily gave me. This came from a macrame thing that one of my friends gave me.
What's under the beds? Is there just more storage under these beds?
More storage. So I'll show you this one, for example. This one has a bunch of provisions in it.
Wait, you have pie crust in there?
Yes.
Oh, we got to make a pie soon.
I have pie filling as well.
Oh, all right.
I have apple filling and cherry and blueberry.
Blueberry it is.
All right, blueberry pie.
Nicole is quite the baker, and that really makes a difference when you're out sailing and you're just missing those little home comforts.
Yeah.
So super cool. All right, well, let's continue on forward. I notice it gets a little smaller to get into here.
Yeah.
So this definitely is a smaller area to kind of climb up into, but it's very cozy in here. So normally there would be a piece of wood over this, right? And then you could remove that when you want to use the toilet and then put it back, and you could have a huge full bed up here, huh? Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. The other way you could have it too, huh, is to put one piece of bed here and one here, so you'd have separation.
Yeah, that's how it was originally. Like there was just one cushion on this side, and the head was actually underneath this trapezoidal portion.
Oh, wow.
But the airhead didn't fit, so I moved it out, and now I use that for storage.
Okay, so this would have been a much simpler head in here, probably.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, it definitely feels like you got a lot more room right here for this one. This isn't too bad. I think I've used this once before.
Yeah.
It's definitely nice, though, to have this. Like, you get so much air right here. Like, it's pretty luxurious, actually. You've got all the privacy, and if you wanted to, you just put that if you had somebody else here, and then you've got privacy. But when it's just you, I guess, solo on your boat, you don't have to worry about that, and ta-da, you can just do whatever you want to do here.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So it looks like you're just using up here for just a lot of storage.
Pretty much just storage. I've got my sewing stuff. I have another sewing machine in here.
You have 2 sewing machines?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, my Sailboat's not good for curtains and domestic stuff. Like,
oh, it's too big for that.
Yeah.
I got you.
But for canvas or sail repair, that's what it's used for.
I get you. So you need a big sewing machine for big projects, but you need a smaller one for probably smaller, like lighter stuff.
Pretty much, yeah.
I gotcha.
And then I have like first aid and bags in here, and then the anchor lockers in here, and then I keep some tools in here, and more tools back there.
This boat just never ends. You seem to just have storage for everything.
That's a lot of storage, yeah.
Well, that's really cool. Well, thank you so much for showing me your boat and your home. Is there anything else we've missed?
I don't think so.
All right, well, let's chat a little bit about you and your story.
Okay.
Well, thank you again for showing us your home, your sailboat, and a bit of your life. But now I want to ask you a few questions to get a more in-depth look at you, Nicole, the captain.
Oh, okay.
So, first off, what made you choose this boat? What specifically made you choose a Bristol Channel cutter?
I specifically chose this boat, I guess, because I wanted to do the impossible, but also I kind of felt like not that I didn't have a choice, but I saw it as an opportunity, I guess.
So what kind of state was the boat in when you found it?
It was in terrible condition. Everything was broken in some way or another.
Wow. I think I remember hearing you say the boat had been like neglected for like 10 years, like not sailed, not used at all for like 10 years.
She'd been living on it at the dock, and then she moved off of it, I think, a year and a half or so before I got there. But it hadn't been sailed, it hadn't been hauled out. So a lot of the sailing systems were neglected.
Wow. And about how long did it take you to bring this boat back to life?
About 14 months.
Wow. In a Dominican boatyard, no less.
Yeah.
That must have been pretty tough.
It was challenging. Yeah, but
dengue
also rewarding.
Fever.
Yeah.
I know you got dengue fever at one point. Like your knee swelled up. Like you had a hard road there.
I did have a hard road.
So when you first bought Artha, what kind of condition was this boat in? And then what was the biggest challenge you had during your refit?
Yeah, so it was a pretty neglected boat. The woman had been living in it up until 2 years before I got there, but it's an old boat. All the systems were outdated or they weren't working, so everything had to come out and everything needed to be replaced.
I think you said like it hadn't been sailed for like 10 years?
Yeah, at least.
Wow.
Yeah.
And out of all the project, out of everything that you did refitting, I think you said like 14 months you were in that boatyard?
Yeah.
What do you think was like the one hardest project for you to do?
Shoot. I mean, they were all challenging in their own way.
I know the bottom job you did took a long time.
The bottom job was pretty much something I did all by myself. I did all the labor on that. But it was like once you know how to do it, you just have to do it.
It's just effort and suffering.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit on my boat, but not nearly to the extent that you did yours.
No.
And I've said it once, I'll say it again. I think you're the only woman I know of, at least, and I'm sure there's others.
Yeah.
But you're the only woman I've ever seen actually doing a bottom job, like the hardest, the worst thing, pretty much the worst thing you can do in a boatyard.
I know which one it was. It was the mast. So the mast had to come out. I had to strip everything down. I had to take all the hardware off. Some hardware I couldn't get off. I got lucky that 2 people helped me. Austin and Martin helped me with that, and that was instrumental because there were so many obstacles with the mast that I wouldn't have been able to move forward without their help. So that was really cool and really challenging.
It sounds like the community in Lupron really came together to help you.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
It's a good community there for boaters, especially.
Yeah. But these were 2 friends that one of them was sailors and one of them flew in just to visit me.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
Super cool. So what upgrade on this boat or change that you made to it are you the most proud of? Because you did everything, so there's got to be one that's your favorite.
Yeah, I would say the electrical, just because I was starting from scratch. So I could have put in just a basic system that would have allowed me to run my water maker and do basic things, but instead I put in something that allows me to have an electric galley, and it's a very efficient system. I mean, I don't think most boats with 600 watts of solar can have an electric galley.
No.
So yeah, so I'm really, really grateful that Brock knew his stuff and was able to help me do that, and I'm really glad that I trusted him and decided to do it rather than just go the easy way and put propane in just because most people know it works.
What does solo sailing mean to you personally?
Yeah, so for me, it provides the opportunity for me to figure myself out. I think initially when I decided to sail by myself, I guess I'd heard from other people, my parents or whatever, that you've really got to be self-sufficient. You've got to be able to depend on yourself. You can't depend on other people. And I really didn't feel comfortable depending on other people. I wanted to be able to depend on myself. So by being a solo sailor, I learned how to do that, and I also learned that it's impossible to do that. And yeah, so it was a lot of personal development and growth and reaching my potential in a lot of ways, and then also just letting go of everything that I thought I was searching for in sailing, but I was really just searching for within myself.
I think a big question a lot of people would ask any solo sailor, much less, a young solo female sailor, is have you ever been scared while you were out there solo sailing, and how did you deal with it?
Yes. So there was one time I was more scared than any other time in my life. And it was when I was sailing from the Dominican Republic to Great Inagua in the Bahamas, because I'd never sailed the boat before and I didn't know if the mast was going to come crashing down. I didn't know if the rudder was going to pop off. Things broke. I lost my navigation and I was just out there. And it was terrifying. My sail tour, I was running my motor and it was slightly overheating because my impeller had gone, and so I was burning oil and everything was just falling apart, and I was like, oh my gosh, I failed, and now I'm stuck out here in the ocean. And I dealt with it I just continued to sail. I was like, you know what? I could try to sail with my main, I could try to do other things, but what I'm doing right now is working, and I'll continue to do it until it's not working, and then I'll make a change. And I was able to meet up with you.
You met up with me?
Yes, you came out and rescued me when I was lost at sea.
I didn't know you were lost at sea. I just came out to be romantic.
I was lost at sea. Yeah, but anyway.
I just wanted to see Nicole, and I didn't realize that. But yeah.
Yeah.
That was a herring trip. We both have done a video on that on our channel.
Yeah.
That was a tough one for both of us for sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel stronger though once you overcame all that?
Yeah, because I really thought I had lost kind of everything, that I even questioned whether I could continue sailing, and then I realized it would be easier to just continue sailing in the Bahamas slowly and pace myself and work my way north rather than just beeline up north.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I really thought that I had kind of failed ultimately.
And I don't want to spoil the many episodes you and I both have planned, but yeah. I think it's safe to say that you got your money's worth out of this boat this past season.
Oh yeah,
sailing.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely redeemed myself. So.
What's a typical day for you like, living and sailing off-grid?
Yeah, so I wake up in the morning, I walk my dog, I journal, I read a little bit, I do some yoga, I meditate a little bit, I drink water, I make some breakfast and I eat breakfast, and then I kind of look and see what needs to be done, if it's going on an adventure or just resting or doing content creation or being a spearfish or cooking or baking or writing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot. What would you say, I feel like adventures are a big part of your daily life once you get done waking up. What would be like the normal day's adventure for you?
Well, I like being boaty and spearfishing.
What does that mean? Can you explain that for the viewers a little bit?
I sit in the boat and I watch you spearfish.
Oh.
Yes.
So the position of boaty, which Nicole does very, very good. We've worked on it, and it's not an easy position. Is you have one person in the water spearfishing.
Yeah, so it's a big support role, but I like that because I think with this whole boat project, I've been doing a lot of leading rather than support, and I was so burnt out of that.
You love dinghy rides or car rides, motorcycle rides.
Yes, I love the rides.
I'll have to get a hot air balloon soon.
Yes, or a plane.
So for somebody else out there who might be watching this who wants to start their own solo sailing adventure, especially a young woman, what advice would you give them? Yeah,
I would say for me, I thought that to be a strong, independent woman, you had to be able to do everything yourself. And I would say what I've discovered is that is furthest from the truth. In order to be strong and independent, you have to be able to ask for help when you need it and to identify your wants and needs and communicate them in a way that is helpful. And so if you're wanting to start your solo sailing journey, just know that you might be sailing by yourself, but you're not going to be alone. And so the more you can be a part of a community and contribute to it, the better off I think everybody will be.
So since refitting, repairing, and maintaining everything on this boat, you set sail about 4 months ago, and since then you've sailed like 700 nautical miles throughout the Bahamas, throughout storms, everything. Since then, what's become your favorite thing as this has really become your home off-grid?
I would say the durability of the boat and the boat's ability to handle a variety of conditions, because we have sailed in a variety of conditions. And so I guess my favorite part of the boat is that just the boat's doing it. The boat's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And that's really cool to see.
And the mast isn't falling down or
everything,
the rudder's not falling off.
Everything's working great.
Where are you dreaming of taking Artha next?
Yeah, so next week I'm sailing up the Gulf Stream with my dad to Oriental, North Carolina, which is about 600 nautical miles. And then there I will actually be selling my boat. So,
what?
Yeah, so then the next owner can take the boat around the world if they want, wherever their heart desires.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, what's making you sell the boat?
I have accomplished what I've wanted to accomplish as a solo sailor. I'm done solo sailing. I am ready to start the next chapter of my life and do some more land-based travel and reach for my next goals.
Do you think you're done sailing entirely, or do you just want to do something new?
I'm done sailing like this.
What do you mean like this?
Like cruising, I guess, by myself is too much work.
I gotcha. So you don't want to be solo on a boat anymore?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay.
I'm done with that. I still love sailing. I still love travel. I like being comfortable. I like going on adventures. I like being more support rather than responsible and leading. It's exhausting. So that's why I'm selling the boat.
All right, so the last question, where can people follow your adventures and support what you're doing?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel. It's called Sailing Artha, and I also have a Patreon called Sailing Artha, so you can find me there. So I'm transitioning my channel a little bit as I stop sailing, but my adventure will still continue. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I am offering yoga and writing on my Patreon, so you can definitely join me for that if you would like. And that's it.
All right, Nicole, thank you so much for sharing your home and your little bit of your life with us. I'm definitely going to have to put a link in the description below for the listing you're going to have on this boat. Mm-hmm. And I'll definitely be looking and following what you do next. Yeah,
I hope you guys do too. Thanks for tuning in and watching.
Cheers. All right, I'll see you guys in the next adventure. If somebody watching this wants... I'll take a pause. If someone watching wants to start their own sailing journey... I swear to God,
do 10 jumping jacks.
Thanks for joining me on this adventure. I hope you feel inspired to begin adventures of your own. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. For an exclusive, in-depth look at this adventure lifestyle and to further support my channel, become a member of my Patreon crew. Link in the description. I'll see you on the next adventure.